It's 9:05 at 97.5 Glory FM, and welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show. Welcome once again to the Saturday Morning Sports Show, 97.5 Glory FM. Mike Wofford with you here live from the NGPG Sports Center at WGTJ. This morning we're going to talk a lot about local sports at the high school level. We'll talk high school basketball with a couple of coaches locally. We'll talk high school football, the state championship taking place next week. We'll talk a little college football, bowl season here, and also the college football playoffs. We'll talk college basketball, the game we got scheduled today here on 97.5 Glory FM. All that for you coming up as we bring you the latest in local sports on 97.5 Glory FM with a live video stream on our YouTube channel at Team Glory Sports. Let's start things off with high school basketball from last night right here on 97.5 Glory FM. Joe Gailey and I were in Cleveland bringing you high school basketball action with North Hall and White County. Opening games of the Region 6 AAA schedule as each of the teams in the region will play 12 regular season games against each other. And last night, that big rivalry between White County and North Hall in the opening game of the doubleheader, it was Steve Shedd's ladies from White County remaining undefeated. They're now 8-0 in the season as they were victorious over the Lady Trojans in a very close battle, 53-45. The final score in that ball game. Then the nightcap of the doubleheader, much closer ball game than a lot of people thought. Really, I thought due to the big rivalry between the two teams, as former North Hall boys coach Miles Kendall and his Warriors, who were looking for their first win of the season against Jarvis Davenport and his Trojans. It came down really to the last moments of the ball game, with the Trojans winning by 3, 55-52. And White County remains winless on the season, but North Hall with their fourth win last night. Next up for those two teams, it will be White County playing at Chestatee Tuesday here on 97.5 Glory FM. I have that action for you with Joe Gailey and Ryan Phillips. Also, you get a chance to see the action with the live YouTube feed with the War Eagle TV broadcast coming up on Tuesday. And Joe and Ryan will be there with the pregame show starting at 5:45. Tip off the girls' game at 6 p.m. You'll hear from Coach Sutton Shirley during the program this morning, previewing what's going on with Chestatee basketball. Also today, a big day taking place down in Oakwood at West Hall High School at Silverdome. They just tipped things off a few moments ago as they're having a showcase called the North Georgia Showcase. There's going to be 8 games being played today, which really is a preview for next Saturday's opening round of the 66th Annual Ireland Invitational Basketball Tournament, which begins next Saturday at 9 a.m. We'll bring you the last 2 semifinals games on Monday the 22nd, live from West Hall. And then on Tuesday the 23rd, we'll bring you the championship games, with the girls and boys championship games being played at Chestatee High right here on 97.5 Glory FM. We'll talk football action on Wednesday. We're going to bring you one more football game, as we'll bring you the Class 5A state championship game from Mercedes-Benz Stadium, as Josh Nibbles' Red Elephants of Gainesville go for the second ever state championship in school history, as they'll take on the Yellow Jackets of Thomas County Central. Game time will be at 7:30 p.m. We're going to bring you the action from the GHSA Football Network coming up on Wednesday night with kickoff at 7:30 p.m. here on your home for North Georgia Sports, 97.5 Glory FM. Hopefully we'll get a chance to talk with Coach Josh Niblett and the second half hour of the program this morning. So stay tuned. We're going to talk high school basketball coming up next here on 97.5 Glory FM with the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
There's nothing like cool, crisp air of fall in North Georgia after a hot, humid summer. Conditioned Air Systems is here to get your HVAC system ready for the changing seasons. With regular maintenance that saves you money on your energy bill, and look no further for quick, reliable plumbing repairs or installation services. Conditioned Air Systems has been a trusted name in Northeast Georgia for over 45 years. Call us today at 1-800-AC-REPAIR.
Injuries are never planned and often happen after hours or over the weekend. That's why NGPG Orthopedic and Sports Medicine offers the Black and Blue Walk-In Clinic for injured athletes every Monday morning in their offices in Gainesville, Brazelton, Beaufort, Houston, and Jefferson. No need to call. Just walk right in between 8:30 and 11:30 on Monday mornings. And one of their sports medicine and orthopedic doctors will be there to help identify, treat, and care for your injury. To learn more, you may visit ngpg.org/black and blue.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? Custom window treatments can go a long way to making your house feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM. Time to talk hoops this Saturday morning. On the phone with us, live from Oakwood, is Chuck Graham, the boys basketball coach at West Hall. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, how you doing, Mike? How's it going?
Great, brother. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Are you tipped off yet?
Oh yeah, man. Well, I'm headed to the gym now.
Okay, I thought you tipped off at 7 o'clock. I mean, 9 o'clock, I should say. I thought it was going to be at 9 o'clock this morning.
Oh, no. Yeah, that was the original schedule.
Okay. What happened?
Yeah. So now what's happening is we 11:30 is the first game.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So when are you playing today then?
We're playing Bethlehem Christian Academy.
Okay.
Which really tough team around that Loganville area. They played a really good and beat a really good George Walton team. And then they played Lakeview Academy on Tuesday night, and they won that game in overtime. So we're going to have our hands full today, but we're looking forward to competing.
All right, I wanted everybody to know about the North Georgia Showcase taking place today at your place, sort of a preview of the Nearland coming up next week.
Yes, sir. A West Hall legend and someone who's definitely is added value to our community, Adrian Penland, is putting on this North Georgia Showcase. So we have 7 games today, starting at 11:30. It's a combination of boys and girls event. So at 11:30, Murray County girls will play Parkview girls. And then at 1 o'clock, the Lambert boys versus Creekview. And Lambert boys are really, really fun to watch. That'll be a big game. And then at 2:30, the Jackson County boys will play Miller Grove, which should be very interesting. And this is maybe one of the highlight games of the day. At 4 o'clock, the Beaufort girls, who are always, either in the semifinals or the finals of winning state championships under Gene Durden, they're playing the Cherokee Bluff girls, who were the defending state champions in 3A. And right after that game at 5:30, we'll play West Hall. We'll play Bethlehem Christian. And then at 7 o'clock game is the E. Forsyth boys versus Mill Creek, which should be another entertaining game. And then the nightcap will be the Walker School out of Atlanta. We'll be playing Beaufort. So a lot of good games today, man. I'm looking forward to a full day of basketball. And like you said, it's a preview for the Nearland for us.
I'll tell you what, Adrian's got a full lineup, doesn't he?
Oh, he does. And I love the mix of, the boys and girls mix. And I also love the fact that he got schools, not only like a lot of local schools, but schools from all over the state, pretty much.
Oh,
even with that Murray County school coming from, from Murray, that's a long way. So they're coming and they're gonna compete. So I'm looking forward to it, Mike.
Oh, absolutely. You got to go over the mountain from Chatsworth to get down here to play that ball game. Miller Grove, they got to come a long way also, and some of the matchups you got there. I mean, even the Walker School from the Marietta area, and then with you in Bethlehem. Nobody's ever seen Bethlehem Christian before. One of the top teams in the GIAA, and they beat Busy Woods team back on Tuesday in overtime, as you mentioned there. I remember seeing them last year. A very tall ball club, aren't they? And very talented and athletic.
Yeah, they're super long, well coached. So I'm looking forward to it, man. Our guys have been, we've won 2 games in a row. We've been stacking like good days together. So it's real interesting. It's almost like a Lanierland, and kind of why we scheduled it this way. We played last night in Stevens County. So, we didn't get home last night till around 11 o'clock. But now the challenge is for us to be able to bounce back in a tournament setting and come back and play a tough team at 5:30.
I talked about that game last night. You won that game, right?
Yes, we won that game, a 4-point ball game. Stevens County on the Friday night first of all, it's very difficult to play on the road.
Mm-hmm.
But so we were down by 2 at half. We came out and scored. We scored 25 in the first half. We came out and scored 20 points in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
I mean, the third quarter. I'm sorry. We scored 20 points in the third quarter, and that kind of just shifted momentum. So going into the fourth quarter, we had 8. We never lost the lead again and just ended up closing the game out by 4. But Stevens County, really, really good team. Really, really good team, man. I know, and I was telling the coach this before, they hadn't really seen it on the scoreboard in the win and loss, the win column, but it's on the way. I can see he's definitely changing the culture and that the expectations of that program.
Well, go back with you and me last Friday night. A very good ball game with Jackson County, which got you ready for this week, and it was a big win against Commerce back on Tuesday.
Well, against Jackson, I really felt in the second half, and I know you guys were there, but the second half, I started to see where our guys were kind of turning the corner.
Sure.
And, we had another good week of practice, and with Commerce coming in, and the guy Brantley does a good job with those guys, and they're super athletic, and they'll be one of the better teams in single A. But
they're ranked, weren't they?
They were ranked 5th or 6th.
Yes.
Yeah, they were ranked 5th or 6th. So I was really, really, really happy with the outcome. Of course, winning the game, but not just like the win, but how we won. Mm-hmm. The guys had to overcome some adversity in the second half. I mean, we were down 7. After we had worked really hard to get the lead, we were down 7 and had to come back twice. But we were able to hit 2 big 3-pointers down the stretch, and able to close out the win. Mike, learning how to win is a skill within itself, though, and that's where we are now.
Yes. Everybody know about that because the way you're changing the culture there at West Hall, and here another year for you, and the adversity you've been through is getting these guys to know, hey, guys, in the fourth quarter, you can do this.
Yes, and the biggest part of that is what you just said, that belief. And once you start believing it, and then you start connecting the dots, and that's why I was glad to see that we actually got some fruit for our labor. And now the challenge is the next step, I think, in the development of a program is to learn how to not only to win on the court, but to win off the court.
Absolutely, brother. Also, we're talking with Chuck Graham, the head boys basketball coach at West Hall. They're hosting the North Georgia Classic today. He says, I thought starting at 9, but at 11:30 this morning, and they've got a full day of action. If you like basketball, it's going to be a great place to go to because there's some top talent and teams playing today, including the Cherokee Bluff girls taking on Buford, and then the boys from West Hall taking on Bethlehem Christian. And like you got the GIAA teams and the GHSA teams playing a public and private, even private schools there in the GHSA or the Walker School, for example, playing today. But, tell everybody about the labors you mentioned there with just what you do in practice, getting the guys ready for wins.
Yeah, and most of the work we've done this year, and the beauty and the one thing I absolutely love about coaching high school basketball is every year things change. So you really never had the same team. I mean, some guys are fortunate, but you always have a turnover in roster.
Sure.
So watching the development and from going from a bunch of individuals to essentially that marathon of getting these guys or these young men to be to develop into a team is the actual part that I love about coaching. But with that, and we had this conversation with guys after the Commerce game, is champions don't become champions like when they win a championship. Champions become champions, or they have to behave and act like champions on the way to winning the championship. So understanding how you win and how you lose and how you carry yourself off the court and your character and how you perform at home is actually developing a championship mindset. If you lack in one of those areas, it's going to be very difficult for you to get to your full potential.
Right.
And that's one of the things that we've been stressing.
Speaking about that, Chuck, you going to watch any of the championship football games and give you something to look at there this week?
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm all locked in, man. With everything going around, especially the Division II playoffs, you got a lot of good football going on.
But I think these guys.
Army Navy is always a classic.
Yes, sir. No doubt about it. Talk about moving that game to Atlanta even. That'd be something for everybody to see in the future if they do that. But, think about these state football championship games. I think anybody, like you're talking about, could learn a lot about how these guys perform, but also how they treat themselves on and off the court, off the field. In fact, coming up at Mercedes-Benz and see what it's like to be a champion.
And that's one of the reasons why I love following and watching, any championship game, and then going back and studying that team that won the championship. And it never fails that you'll always see a group that has to go through some kind of adversity to push through and fight and to actually to win that championship. So both teams, once you get to that level of state championship game, I mean, both teams are deserving.
Sure.
It's just unfortunate, like one team has to win.
Yep.
But it's nothing to hang your head over. Especially, the ultimate goal is to get these kids or these young men to get their character right. Because like I told you before, man, the athletics always fade.
Oh, yes.
But one thing that's going to remain constant is your character.
Amen, brother. Well, I hope your guys get a chance to rest up and get ready for their ball game today with Bethlehem Christian. And to me, the next step for you is winning the Lanier-Land tournament game.
Yes, sir, man. I'm looking forward to this year. Get the matchup with my good friend Joe Dix. We play East Hall during the first round. A lot of good matchups this year too, especially on the boys' side. On our side of the bracket is a game that's going to be really entertaining. You got that talented group from Gainesville. They'll be playing North Hall, and I know Jarvis will have those guys ready and fired up to play. And then you got Flowery Branch and Lakeview on the other side of the bracket, along with today is our girls will be playing Johnson in the play-in game. And also, it's at Johnson today too also. And the Johnson boys will be playing Chestatee to see who earns the right to meet Cherokee Bluff in the first round of Lanier-Land. So, yeah, man, it's around the corner. It's next Saturday, so it's kind of hard to believe, but time flies, but it's that time of the year.
You play early today? What time you play next Saturday,
We play at 4:30.
So you got both today and next week. That does get you ready for Lanier-Land from that standpoint. All right, brother. I appreciate you doing this, and good luck today. And tell Trevor I said, hey, okay?
I will, man. God bless, Mike.
All right, friend. Thank you very much. That is Chuck Graham, one of the best here that joins us here on 97.5 Glory FM. They have that North Georgia Showcase taking place today at 11:30. They take on Bethlehem Christian, and we'll tell you more about that here on 97.5 Glory FM. More with the Saturday Morning Sports Show coming up next. Well, I hope it comes up next. Let's see if we got the right button here. Hit the right button, Mike. Let's see. Here we go. And that's not working. Let's try another one here. We got more. Hopefully I have Sutton Shirley, who is the head coach of the girls basketball team at Chestatee. He'll be joining us next here on 97.5 Glory FM with the Saturday Morning Sports Show.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
The experts are saying that it's going to be another tough year for the flu. Last year it started in October and lasted until May. It's never too early to get your flu shot, and you can stop by Riverside Pharmacy and get yours today. The pharmacists at Riverside Pharmacy can not only give you your flu shot, but if you get the flu, they can fill your prescription. They'll even deliver them in the Gainesville area. You can depend on Riverside Pharmacy across the street from City Park, serving Gainesville for over 60 years.
This is Representative Lee Hawkins, your representative to the state legislature. I want to wish all the local athletes in our area the very best this season. Your team is very important to the success of our community, and I look forward to seeing you play this year and to see what you accomplish in the classrooms and in the community. I also look forward to serving you and your family in the state legislature. This message paid for by the committee to re-elect Lee Hawkins.
And we're back here
Whether
on the
it's
Saturday
on the
Morning
football
Sports
field
Show.
or planning for retirement, it's important to have the right team around you to succeed. I'm Alex Schliman, quarterback for the North Hall Trojans. While I'm not throwing touchdowns, my family is assisting clients with their financial planning needs. Are you looking to retire soon, receiving an inheritance, selling a business, or simply have questions about the market? The team at Sullivan & Schliman Wealth Management is here to help. Reach out to us to make sure you and your family are surrounded by a winning team. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, I'm Hope.
And something is not working right. So let's do this. Oh, that's what happened. Now I know what happened. Got something going on with my computer here. And so hang on, and I'll have that going and get back here on our new phone system that I'm working on learning how to use. And we're going to talk here on the phones. I'll switch some buttons here and talk with Sutton Shirley, the head girls basketball coach at Chester T. You there, Sutton?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Good talking with you, friend. How you doing?
Doing all right. Had the night off last night, so that was good. Didn't have to worry about a stressful one on a Friday night, so it's good this morning.
Yeah, you're the ones that didn't play last night in the region play. We're up in Cleveland with the opening games of the region play there with North Hall and White County. You've got White County coming up on Tuesday. You get a chance to either hear or see what was going on last night?
Yes, sir. I watched it on their live stream. I thought both teams played very well. Both teams had really good moments. And I think that's a sign for what our region is going to look like for the whole season. It's going to be a bunch of teams that are very competitive, play very hard, and are all very skilled and talented. And it's going to be a fun ride, I think, in Region 6 AAA this year for girls basketball.
It seems like things have stepped up for the entire region, hasn't it?
Yes, sir. I mean, there's really everyone that's playing is well coached and competitive. I think we might be the most well coached region in the state because you look top to bottom, and every single game, you know, there's going to be a really solid game plan, both offensively and defensively, and players got to go out there and make plays and see what happens.
And that's why last night with Coach Shedd's team there, they made plays after falling behind by a couple of points there, went a little stretch, about 8 straight points, and never looked back.
Right. And Coach Shedd and Coach Atha both do a really good job. And Coach Shedd he's got some kids that have been there and done it before, and they made plays at the end of that game to help them seal that victory.
So tell me about your team. We're going to be broadcasting the game on Tuesday night, as we let everybody know, and looking forward to that. Fans in White County will be tuning in to the broadcast. So what are we looking for Tuesday?
We're 3-3 so far this season. We've lost to 3 really good teams: Buford, Jefferson, and at Pickens County. And my group is still figuring out what we need to do in terms of we lost a lot of minutes from last year.
Sure did.
So we're filling those in, and I think we're getting better every day, better each game we play. And I'm excited about mid-January till the end of February about where we might be. We're still, taking steps. We're not where I want to be right now, but I think by mid-January we'll be in a pretty good spot.
Talking with Coach Sutton Shirley, the head girls basketball coach at Chester again on Tuesday. We'll bring you the action between White County and Chester T with the undefeated Lady Warriors. And I tell you what, you look how competitive Coach Atha's team was last night with that team. And tell me about how the matchups are. You saw they were mismatched last night with some big girls, and I liked how Coach Atha was able to defend those big girls. What have you got that you can do to defend those big girls?
Chester T, the past 3 or 4 years, we've always been really small. We're actually the biggest we've ever been this year, which hopefully will help offset some of Coach Shedd's size over at White County. But I thought Coach Atha had a great game plan in pressuring the guards and making it hard to get the ball to the post.
Yes.
And you've been around my teams a long time. We're going to pressure the guards for sure. So hopefully the combination of a little bit of added size that we haven't always had and pressuring the guards will help us out a little bit on Tuesday night.
So tell me about your team. Let everybody know about your team.
We have a really good player in Allie J. Bull. She's a sophomore. She's one of the Bull lineage at Chestatee. It feels like there's been a Bull for 15 years there.
At least, yes.
On either the boys or girls side. And she's playing really well. She's averaging about 25 a game right now through the first 6 games. We've got 3 seniors that have been around and won a lot of games and been a part of a lot of success and big moments with Jeremiah Weaver and Blakely Boyd and Miranda Hernandez. And then a junior, Lexi Moss, who played some last year as a sophomore, has really stepped up and is doing some really good things for us. And so all of that put together has been a good thing for us.
So is the go-to girl right now Allie J?
Yeah, I don't think that's a secret. Our offense is running well when the ball is in her hands.
Well, I know she's got a lot she can go and do inside, but also with that 3 ball, we know when we say bullseye, you know it?
Yes, sir. And she has worked on that tremendously this offseason. I think her older sister that graduated, Caroline, I think they might have a little competition on who ends up with the most career threes, and Allie J's trying to work her way up that list this year, I think. So she has definitely transformed her game a little bit in the offseason, and is a threat just like Caroline was from the perimeter, and also has that inside game like you mentioned.
You know, Sutton, how even could the region be this year? You lost that tough game with Pickens, and then you got an undefeated team in White County. But I can see everybody beating everybody up in the region. And I go back to the power rankings that we go through right now with the state playoffs. You can see a lot of teams with a lot of losses out of those 12 games you play in this region.
Yes, sir. In talking with some of the other coaches in the region, last year it kind of went pretty chalkish. I think Pickens lost 1 game, and then White County lost to Pickens, and we lost to Pickens and White, and it kind of continued its way down. It was kind of an order. This year, I think it's going to be some madness. I don't think there will be a 1 or 2 loss team at the top of the standings. I think everyone will have 3 or 4 losses at least, and it will be very interesting to see how seedings and matchups work. Because I think that's going to be the biggest thing. Like I said earlier, every team is very well coached.
Oh, absolutely.
And every team has different strengths and weaknesses. And when it comes down to that region tournament and that where you're playing for one of those top 4 seeds, it's going to be very interesting to see who matches up against who and how that all works out and shakes out.
And you're blessed to be able to have the semifinals and finals at your place. And that's going to be fun to see when we get to you. Seeing that in February as we're talking with Coach Sutton Shirley. So how does the game, I know you want to win this ball game and be back even at 1-1 in the region, but then look ahead to that next Saturday. I was talking to Chuck Graham a few moments ago. They got that North Georgia Showcase today and then getting ready for Wonderland next week, and we'll be broadcasting the last 2 semifinal games and the championship games. Tell me about your team playing next Saturday.
Well, I've got a family get-together for Christmas at about 2 o'clock, and my mom's going to be mad at me because I have to leave at about 3:30 to get down to Johnson and watch that Johnson-West Hall play-in game that's happening this afternoon to see which one of those teams we are going to end up be playing on Saturday. I'm excited about it. Lanier-Land's always special. I'm a Hall County lifer, so that tournament means a lot to me. And I'm excited to get to be playing in a crowded gym and in that environment and atmosphere. And coming in as the number 1 seed, we're going to do everything we can. Just like getting to host the region championship, we're also hosting the Lanier-Land finals. So
yes.
We're hoping that we have the opportunity and we can earn our way into playing at that 6 o'clock game on our home court.
Tell everybody how special
23rd.
just that big win was last year, taking on the gold ball there at Lanier-Land.
That was a really special win for that group of kids, for our program, community, the whole thing. It's fun to win that one. There's some bragging rights, and that's a special tournament just for the entire community. Like I said, it's not just for my kids, but the admin at Chestatee, the teachers at Chestatee, the students at Chestatee. That was just a really cool moment and experience, and to do it at the Gainesville gym with 2,000 plus people there, it was it's in the top 5 of my games that I've coached at Chestatee for sure.
It's fun to say Lanier-Land champions, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. And hey, we're still Lanier-Land champions.
Exactly.
Until December 23rd.
Until somebody beats you from that standpoint. So
yes, sir.
Until that
Absolutely.
happens, hey, you are the Lanier-Land champions, and that's fun to say. Sutton, thanks, man. We'll see you on Tuesday night. Have a great day today, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Sounds good. Yes, sir.
I appreciate it very much. That is Sutton Sure, the girls basketball coach at Chestatee. Again, he said they'll play the late game next Saturday in the opening round of the Lanier-Land tournament at Cherokee Bluff, and they'll play either West Hall or Johnson. They're playing that play-in game today, as we have 9 teams in the tournament, and so they have that play-in game today with the number 8 seed from last year playing the number 9 seed, which is Johnson today. So out at the Palace at Blackshear Place, if you want to see some basketball, the play-in games of the Lanier-Land tournament with the Johnson girls taking on West Hall, and then the Johnson boys go up against Chestatee. That takes place today down at Johnson High. We've got high school basketball on Tuesday again with Chestatee taking on White County right here on 97.5 Glory FM. We got much more of the Saturday Morning Sports Show coming up next.
Welcome to Long Street Radio. Let's talk to John in Jefferson.
Hi, Hope. How does Long Street Cafe keep the biscuits so fresh and tasty?
It's easy, John. We make biscuits fresh from scratch, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Let's go to Sarah in Dawsonville.
Hi, Hope. Just wanted to say I love the selection of meats and vegetables.
Thanks, Sarah. Time for one more call.
Yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to Mary on your radio commercials. She does a great job.
I think so, too. Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome. Oops.
Long Street Cafe with 2 Gainesville locations.
There's nothing like cool, crisp air of fall in North Georgia after a hot, humid summer. Conditioned Air Systems is here to get your HVAC system ready for the changing seasons. With regular maintenance that saves you money on your energy bill, and look no further for quick, reliable plumbing repairs or installation services. Conditioned Air Systems has been a trusted name in Northeast Georgia for over 45 years. Call us today at 1-800-AC-REPAIR.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, I was afraid that Josh Niblett, the head football coach at Gainesville, might not be available this morning, and he's not. But he's getting ready for the Class 5A state championship coming up on Wednesday as the Elephants are getting ready. I think they're practicing, in fact, today, getting ready for the game coming up on Wednesday because they had one less day to prepare for the state championship. As the Georgia High School Association is hosting the 8 football championships from the Class A, Division II, Division I, all the way up to Class 6A, and also the private school championship coming up next week at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Atlanta Falcons. They'll play starting Monday with games, and then Gainesville has the last game of the championship as they'll play Wednesday night, 7:30 p.m. against Thomas County Central. You'll hear that game on 97.5 Glory FM as we'll be bringing you the action from the GHSA Football Network coming up on Wednesday night. I'll be producing the game for us here at the studio. Looking forward to hearing that broadcast as Gainesville won their semifinal game on Thursday in dominant fashion. They went up to Barron Stadium in Rome, and they took on John Reed's Rome Wolves, who really had to wait, and that's one of the things. They had played a week ago on Friday against Jackson County and won that game, and they had to wait after all that took place with the drama of Class 5A with Gainesville and Brunswick. So that semifinal bracket played on Thursday with Gainesville playing on the road at Rome, while it was Roswell, the Region 7 5A champions, on the road down in Thomasville taking on Thomas County Central. And it was Gainesville winning by a final of 37-6, allowing just 2 field goals in the ball game, and they jumped out to a big lead. They did get bad news as the running back Nigel Newkirk went down with an injury in the game, and then B.J. Lewis, he came in and he stepped things up, scoring 3 touchdowns for the Elephants on the ground. He had over 200 yards rushing in the ball game against Rome, and the Gainesville defense just basically shut down that Rome offense, and they were able to win by a score up 37-6 to advance to the state championship. First one for Elephants since Coach Josh said was first year back in 2022. Now, Gainesville's been to the big game before in the history of Gainesville High football. They've won just one championship. They came in 2012 when Deshaun Watson led the team to the state championship that year, and that's the one that everybody always talks about. And Gainesville looking for their second ever state championship as they'll take on a powerhouse out of South Georgia in Thomas County Central. Now, the Yellow Jackets, they defeated Roswell down in Thomasville back on Thursday, scored 6 touchdowns against that powerful Roswell team. That's going to be one of the big questions on Wednesday is can the Gainesville defense really shut down that offense for Thomas County Central, see what kind of game plan they've got. That's one of the big things. Also, I want to talk to Coach Nibwood about one very important fact that took place back on Thursday. There were 4 players that could not play because of the suspension that took place from the fight with Brunswick back in November. So they missed that ball game back on Thursday night, but now they can play for the state championship, and they'll be pivotal parts of that game coming up on Wednesday. And you look at the big stage for the Elephants playing there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the game televised statewide on GPB, on Channel 8 locally. And, of course, we'll have the action for you right here on 97.5 Glory FM coming up on Wednesday night with the kickoff taking place at 7:30 p.m. Once again from the GHSA Football Network. Other games being played of interest coming up next week. You have Beaufort playing for the Class 6A state championship, and they'll take on Carrollton. Carrollton was one of the teams that defeated Gainesville earlier this year, and that's going to be really something to see. The 2 powerhouse. You see a lot of these city school teams, Gainesville, Beaufort, Carrollton, there in the big ball game, and that's going to be interesting to see what Coach Brian Appling's team can do coming up against the Carrollton team. They'll play that one on Tuesday there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Also on Wednesday, the game right before Gainesville will be for the Class AAA championship, as it will be the Jefferson Dragons. They will go up against Sandy Creek. Sandy Creek defeated LaGrange, the team that eliminated North Hall. They won that game. It was a matchup of 2 region teams there in that region with Sandy Creek and LaGrange playing each other, with the Patriots coming out on top. And Jefferson, they were able to get their win over West Lawrence in the semifinals of the state tournament. So it's Jefferson, Coach Travis Nolan's team, going up against the team there from Sandy Creek playing for the state championship. And it's interesting to see playing on a neutral field there in the dome there at Mercedes-Benz Stadium what's going to happen. And they'll play that game at 4 o'clock coming up on Wednesday, right before Gainesville plays their game with the team from Thomas County Central. And, of course, we'll bring you all the details right here on 97.5 Glory FM. As Beaufort goes up against Carrollton, Jefferson, they'll go up against Sandy Creek, and it's Gainesville and Thomas County Central, the high school football season coming to a close there from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. We've got much more to talk about. We've got college football, college basketball still to talk about. It comes up next here on the Saturday Morning Sports Show on 97.5 Glory FM.
Ever feel like your house is just missing a little something? Custom window treatments can go a long way to making your house feel like a home. Call Millie's Drapery and Decorating today for the best in custom drapery, blinds, shades, and shutters. We can schedule for one of our designers to come out to your home, take measurements, and give you an estimate right there on site. That's Millie's Drapery and Decorating, 1732 Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, or give us a call at 770-532-3819.
Here I am on the road again, ready to pick up the kids from school, go by the grocery store, and do all the things a busy mother does. It's because I just left North Hall Tire and Wheel, where they made sure I was ready to go. They put on a fresh set of tires, checked the brakes, and even the battery. I know I can trust Mike and Matt and the guys at North Hall Tire and Wheel. They have everything you need, all the name brand tires at the best prices, and the service you need. They're on Cleveland Highway in Gainesville, so give them a call at 770-297-5308.
And back on the Saturday Morning Sports Show, time for the whistle blow for the 4th and final quarter of the show this morning. And we're going to talk a little college football, college basketball, college sports this morning with Dave Cohen, the voice of Georgia State. Hey, David.
Good morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm doing great, sir. How about you?
Hanging in there, getting ready for Georgia State basketball this afternoon. We got Jacksonville State down at the Convocation Center at 2. So that's what's next on the schedule, and we'll see how we play this afternoon.
Yeah, right here on 97.5 Glory FM, starting at 2 p.m. I'll be running the network here on our end, taking place at 2 p.m. today. If you get a chance, you can watch it on ESPN Plus today, but we'll have the radio coverage for you here on 97.5 Glory FM following the network starting at 2 p.m. Tell me, what kind of team does Jacksonville State play? Because they're in Conference USA, so what kind of team do they have this year?
Well, right now, Mike, they're 4-4. They've lost 3 of their last 4 ball games. Got a lot of international players on their roster.
Oh, really?
But historically, we played them last year. And, historically, we used to be in the same conference with them back in the old Atlantic Sun or A-Sun days. So many trips over to Pete Matthews Coliseum back in the day in Jacksonville, Alabama. But, they're competitive in Conference USA. I don't know that they'll be top of the league this year, at least from what we've seen or what they've seen so far. But we've already played one Conference USA school. That was that New Mexico State game down in Cancun, Mexico. They were pretty good, and we were not pretty good. So, we'll see what happens this afternoon. Georgia State's had basically a week off to try to right the ship. 1-9 is not a great start, obviously. Thankfully, this is a home game. They've played the last 6 on the road. So you had the trip down to Cancun. You had the game up at South Dakota State. You had road games at Mercer, at Kennesaw State. So it's been a little bit of a rough road to hoe, so to say, here this last couple of 3 weeks. And I know they're going to be glad to be back at the Convocation Center.
Oh, absolutely. They also lose that Conference USA team in Kennesaw State. I remember they're in that conference also there, and we saw what kind of caliber team they had last week.
Yeah, they're loaded. I was telling somebody that was telling me about Kennesaw State, and I said, well, look back 3-4 years ago. This is how things change now in college athletics, and with the world that we operate in college athletics, you can be on top or be playing really well one year, and the next year you're not. Now, I kind of think that your Power 4 upper echelon schools are kind of buffered from that, aside from any catastrophic incidents like what we're seeing at Michigan with their football program. But at the G5 level, you're at risk basically year to year of losing your coach, losing your best players. 3 years ago, Mike, we were in the NCAA tournament. 4 years ago for basketball, we were in the NCAA tournament out in Portland, Oregon, taking on Gonzaga.
Yep.
After winning the Sun Belt Conference tournament. And 3 years ago, we were winning the famous Idaho Potato Bowl out in Boise, Idaho. Things change quickly. Sean Elliott, leaves and goes to South Carolina. Ron Hunter, or I should say Rob Lanier, leaves after the NCAA, game and goes to SMU. And of course, he's now at Rice. Prior to that, we had a great run with Ron Hunter. But at our level, when coaches have that kind of success, and you see when players have that kind of success, that they feel that they may have an opportunity to jump to the P4 level, whether or not there's a monetary advantage, which in most cases there is, at least from what I've seen with our best players. We've had players that have transferred through Georgia State who have not necessarily transferred based on a large monetary reward. There are some that I'm not quite sure why they're transferring, other than they may think that they'll get an opportunity at the Power 4 level. But we've had some players that have, some of our best players that have left and have, played well at the next level. I think a good example would be one of our top receivers a few years ago, Jamari Thrash. He decided that he wanted to see if he could play at the next level. He transferred to Louisville, had a great senior season, and I'm not sure if he's still with the Cleveland Browns, but he came out of Louisville and was on the Cleveland Browns roster. We've had players that have gone to Auburn, players that have gone to Virginia Tech, players that have gone to West Virginia, players that have gone to Miami, players that have gone to Georgia Tech, and Jiron Gilmore, who showed that he could play at that next level. So that's kind of the situation for G5. I think you're seeing another good example of that in state with Mercer. They just lost their head coach coming out of the FCS playoffs. They got beat pretty badly by South Dakota State down there in Macon, a week or so ago. But all of a sudden, their head coach built Mercer up to a really good FCS, top 24 program. He just accepted the job at into the portal. Whether or not he's going to follow their head coach to Toledo, I'm not sure. He may look to go elsewhere, but you have a little bit of success, and all of a sudden your world can be turned upside down.
Absolutely.
You're seeing that in the Sun Belt. We're watching that with James Madison. I mean, James Madison, that's actually one of the games, Mike, that we would have, could have, should have won this year here in Atlanta. But, they earned a spot in the playoffs, and all of a sudden, Bob Chesney is going to coach them. He's only been there 2 years since coming in from Holy Cross after Kurt Signetti left and went to Indiana, and you've seen what he's done at Indiana.
Yes.
Bob Chesney has already accepted the job at UCLA and will be heading out to Los Angeles soon enough. And they went and hired, Billy Napier. Billy Napier has Sun Belt experience at Louisiana Lafayette. He went to Florida, had a rough time down there in Gainesville, and he's going to be back in the Sun Belt now, taking over as head coach at James Madison. So any little bit of success, even 2 years of success at James Madison, and the JMU coach, Chesney, is headed to Los Angeles. And so you basically, it's almost, at times, it's like hitting the restart button.
Oh, sure.
And that's what's happened to Georgia State. And it just hasn't worked out, the same way it's worked out, say, at a JMU.
Mm-hmm.
But something's gonna have to give here soon enough, because right now, Georgia State's football and men's basketball program are really struggling.
Hey, the question is Coach Chesney going to coach the team in the playoffs, or going to be Coach Napier?
It's going to be Coach Chesney. As a matter of fact, on social media, I guess Coach Napier showed up at one of their practices, before they get ready to head out to play Oregon. And, it looks like it's going to be a very smooth transition. I don't think Coach Napier will be involved in the team's preparation, obviously. They're going to keep things, I think, status quo. But it's interesting that that's where we are in this time, this day and age, that you can announce you're leaving to take another job, in this case UCLA, and you're going to stay. Your athletic director and your president at JMU are fine with him staying and coaching and finishing out the job in Harrisonburg and leading them into the college football playoff.
Well, history's there. First G5 school to go into the championship tournament there. Could this be as big if they were to defeat Oregon as Appalachian State and Michigan back in the day?
Yeah, you'd probably put them on par again. Days were different. The difference then, Mike, was that Appalachian State was an FCS program.
True.
With FCS resources.
Mm-hmm.
Now, granted, App State's always had really nice facilities and, pretty good resources. This is a little different, in that James Madison is an FBS program playing at the Sun Belt level. They went 12-1, and advancing into the college football playoff. So the only difference would be is back then, and it's been a number of years now, when they went into the Big House and they beat Michigan, they were an FCS program. I think that's the first time an FCS program ever went on the road and beat a top 25 program on their home field.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a little different. It would still be a huge win, and it would quiet a lot of the naysayers who don't think the G5 should be involved in the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's James Madison or the Tulane Green Wave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pulling for both of them to pull off upsets, if you want to even call them upsets. We'll see. James Madison's pretty good. You don't go 12-1 because you can't play and you don't have good players.
Well, could you
and there's been a number of people that have posted on social media as a rebuttal to some of these national college football pundits who are being critical of the G5 having an inclusion in this playoff. That look, I mean, if the P4 doesn't respect the G5, then at the end of every season, stop coming and taking our coaches and stop taking our best players through the transfer portal.
Preach it, Dave.
Develop your own players and stop taking the best players from the G5 level.
There you go. How about Tulane, though, playing Ole Miss, and you win that game, you play Georgia?
Yeah, and, Georgia State opened at Ole Miss this year, and, it got kind of ugly there in the second half. If you remember, you were on the network that day, and Ole Miss is really good, but there's another situation where you're all of a sudden Your head coach is now the head coach at LSU. You've got an interim head coach there. Players, I'm sure, are going to hit the portal. I believe there's still a 30-day window where players can transfer out once their coach leaves, and then you got the portal opening on January the 2nd. So it really, those kind of situations completely upset the apple cart. There's no question Ole Miss was one of the top programs in the country this year, but now there's a lot of question marks floating around that program.
Absolutely.
With regards to coaches and players and who's going to stay and who's going to go and who's going to follow Kiffin to LSU, both player and coach-wise. So what started out the season as a top 10 program or a top 20 program now is in flux. It's in limbo with regards to where some of those players and coaches are going to end up by the time the season ends.
Did you see Tulane beating Ole Miss and then playing there in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans, their city, against Georgia? It's like, okay, talk about momentum.
Yeah, well, it's a tall task. Don't get me wrong. I mean, like I said, Ole Miss still has top-level SEC talent.
Oh, yes.
Tulane has top-level American Athletic Conference talent. They're a great program. We kind of keep up with Tulane a little bit, only because our former head basketball coach, Ron Hunter, is down there leading their basketball program. But I think it's great the American got a team in. I think it's great the Sun Belt got a team in. Eventually, they're going to expand this thing to mirror what they do in the FCS.
Yes,
and they have a 24-team playoff, and they crown a true national champion. The problem you have at the FBS level, Mike, as it incrementally increases, is that the Power Fours don't want to share the revenue with the G5 or other Power Four, programs. The upper echelon wants all the, playoff money to themselves, or as much of it as they can possibly keep. That's really what's behind all this. Everything is driven by the dollar, and that's why FCS, which is not driven necessarily by the dollar, can play with 24 teams in a playoff and crown a championship, and FBS can't do it. It's because they don't want to share the revenue with everybody.
Yeah, great point. So we had how many teams in Sun Belt go to the bowl games this year? Well, you did tell me it was 7 of them?
I want to say there were 7 or 8.
That's impressive.
I usually would keep a list of who is going where, but since we're not going anywhere, I didn't put together a list this year of who's playing where.
Yes. I was talking about basketball for a moment. This is not the last game. We've got another game next Saturday. Well, Appalachian State's next Saturday we'll have on the network, and then you wrap things up against Marshall on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, right back on the road for the opening of the Sun Belt Conference portion of the schedule after today's game against Jacksonville State. Next Thursday night at Georgia Southern, which we'll have on the radio network, and then I'm back with you from Boone, North Carolina. So really, 8 of the by the time we get to the end of that, Mike, 8 of the last 9 games will have been played on the road.
And this will be brutal, just flat out brutal.
It's tough for a team that's struggling at the same time as well.
Yep. All right, today, 2 o'clock, Jacksonville State, the Gamecocks out of Jacksonville, Alabama. Conference USA taking on the Panthers of Georgia State. Have it for you right here starting at 2 o'clock. Have a great broadcast, son. We'll see you later today, okay?
All right, Mike, thank you.
Appreciate it very much. That is Dave Cohen. He is the voice of Georgia State. You can follow him on X at GA State Voice. We have the action for you today starting at 2 p.m. Again, we've got coming up on Wednesday, high school football state championship action with Gainesville taking on Thomas County Central. We'll have it for you starting with a kickoff at 7:30 on Wednesday from the GHSA Football Network. And on Tuesday, high school basketball as Chestatee takes on White County. Joe Gailey and Ryan Phillips is the play-by-play here on your home for North Georgia Sports 97.5 Glory FM. That's the Saturday Morning Sports Show. You'll join us all week long for the very best in local sports coverage here on 97.5 Glory FM.